morning everybody. How are you all doing today? I hope you're all grand. I know a few of you have been a bit under the weather. I really hope you're beginning to shake it off. If it is this, you know what, I've got a couple of plot neighbours who, well, they think they've had it. We don't really have much testing going on, but they're over it. It's sort of 2, 3, in some cases 4 weeks ago, but they're still feeling really sluggish. So if you have been had it, don't be surprised if you don't feel great for a while yet. Don't push yourselves. Be nice to yourselves. Sit in the garden on a beautiful day. It is a really beautiful morning this morning. It's really bright. It's a nice temperature. There's still a little bit of cool from the night. But my goodness, it's windy. Really gusty. I hate it when it's gusty because it's always that thing of, what's it going to do to the sound? Never mind, we'll carry on anyway, won't we? Now, oh dear, don't breathe and talk. I'm going to have a little grump again. The daily grump. Hang on a sec. Two things bugging me on my way here today. The pavements where I live are, in some places they're really quite narrow. In other places they're not too bad, but for the most part they're only about 2 metres wide. So why do people walk down the middle of the path? It's doing my head in. I'm talking about on the high street, I'm not talking about in the gardens. It's doing my head in. See someone coming towards you and you think, you either need to walk right next to the building or right near the curb next to the road. Not in the middle. Saw this guy walking towards me this morning and I was sort of saying, can you move? Can you move like this? Just oblivious, in his own world. So I ended up having to go in the road. And I've got to say, there's loads of traffic still. I don't know what everyone's up to. Obviously some of those people are key workers and they're getting to work. Completely understand that, but yeah, couples walking up the path, go single file. The two of you are taking up the whole path, so anyone in the opposite direction has got to walk in the road to keep their distance. So yeah. Now the other thing that's really bugging me is, around here quite a few people are starting to wear masks when they're out and about. I'm not going to go into the subject of not to wear masks. It's convoluted, it's contentious, there isn't really definitive research still. I might talk about it at some point. Anyway, let's just say for now that there's quite a few people in my neighbourhood wearing masks. But they're wearing them like they're a fashion accessory. People are wearing them under their chins or on the tops of their heads. They're walking down the street with it on the top of their head. And I'm just thinking, why? Why bother? Instead of wearing it on your head, give it to a nurse to wear at work. Crikey, I don't get it at all. One of the shops I've been going to do my shopping for other people, I mean, I was just like, what? There's a lass serving. She had her mask under her chin and she had a visor on. But where the visor should fit down over your face like this, down to about here, she had it tilted up. So it was like this. So basically, her nose and mouth were completely exposed. So she could spray on me and she could breathe in anything that I might spray. I don't get it. Like, what is wrong with people? Anyway, there we go. That's my grump for the day. The daily grump. Talking of shopping though, it is making me laugh. I'm starting to feel like a spiv. Is that the word they use to describe the black market sellers in the Second World War? You know, the kind of open your coat and you've got a load of watches, or open the suitcase, a load of nylons. That's how I'm starting to feel, because so I'm doing these main shops, like a weekly shop for certain individuals. But I think word's gone round that I'm going shopping almost every day for people. So a lot of other people who aren't housebound, who aren't self-isolating, whatever, who are perfectly capable, but they're saying, oh, Vivi, if you're going to the shops, could you get me a such and such? So yesterday was a big shopping day, loads of shopping done, a few prescriptions collected, that sort of thing. And whilst I was out and about, I had this other random list, and I kept thinking bananas, batteries, Benadryl. I can't remember everything that was on the list. So after having done all the shopping yesterday and done all the dropping at the various homes, I got home and I had these random items. Just sort of one or two items for lots of different individuals. So last night and this morning I've been going around the neighbourhood with my granny trolley, just knocking on doors, leaving random stuff on doorsteps and running away. Oh, I don't know, it just tickled me. The thought that I'm getting all this contraband out of my bag. It's not contraband. But the Benadryl, I've never used it. It's a like hay fever allergies type drug. And it was for the guy in my corner shop. So I've been using my corner shop quite a bit because there's rarely a queue for it. And they've been having things like loo roll. Let's face it, they've got loo roll. And a couple of days ago I went in to get something, and poor guy was he was sort of streaming and puffy, and he just looked and sounded miserable. And I was like, are you ill? Should you be here? Shouldn't you be at home? And he said, no, it's not COVID, it's my allergies. Everyone's having to explain, aren't they, with their allergies. I've just got allergies. But the poor guy looked dreadful, and I said, why don't you take some Piriton or something? That's another of our, they're all what is it, chlorphenamine, isn't it? Basically I was like, why don't you take an allergy med? He said, I've run out, I can't find it anywhere, I haven't got time to go to the shops, I said, I'll keep a lookout for it, if you want me to. And he was like, yes, if you can, please. And then he whipped out his empty box from his back pocket, all crushed. And apparently it's behind the counter, so you can't just pop into the chemist and get it. You have to go and queue up, and the pharmacist has to okay it. Anyway, I found some for him, and I popped into the shop late last night. He was so happy. It was funny, I think he was as happy at getting his Benadryl, or whatever it's called, as I was about getting my compost delivery. Yeah, don't even start me on the compost. I've emailed, I've asked for a refund, I've had a generic email back, same generic email that I got last week saying, we are dispatching orders, we are not doing refunds, What can I do? Anyway, never mind all that. What we're going to get up to today? Yes, so let's just chat in here because it really is breezy and gusty out there. Onions today. So after I finished the other day doing my spuds, I prepared one of my onion beds, and that's kind of, I think, what I'm going to do over the next couple of weeks is I'm going to plant a bed or sow it. Before I go home, I'm going to dig out another bed. Hopefully the rest of them will be a bit easier because they've been covered. Some of them had compost rather than just the leaves, what have you. So fingers crossed, not too much effort because my knees are killing me at the minute. But yeah, that's the idea. So I'll plant or sow a bed, share that with you, show you what I'm doing, especially for anyone who's new. Before I go, but not on camera, dig another bed out. And if I do that every day for the next 20 days, I'll have a garden again. So I'm going to do the white onions this morning. I've got my reds here to show you because the whites are outside waiting for me. As I mentioned, when you get delivery of your onions, spread them out so they're not in the bag, sweating, getting mouldy, whatever. Have a check through them, make sure, any that show, sometimes you give them a squeeze, there's nothing to them, there's nothing going on. Chuck it, they might be a bit mouldy. Any that are a bit hinky, whatever, chuck them. And like I say, keep them spread out like this. Now I'm going to go just outside to the table, because I'm going to divvy up my white onions. I'm going to have 4 rows, so I'm going to equally divide them into the 4 pots. And again, by doing that this morning, as I do it, I'll be giving them all a little teeny tiny squeeze just to make sure they're firm and they're good. And then we can get on with planting. It feels great actually. It's finally to get planting. As I say, sorry, I'm a bit suddenly. It's a nice morning. Get these whites done. What I'm planning to do in terms of the bed prep for tomorrow's sowing, I'm going to try and I brought down a little bit of that compost from home. I had to cut the bag open and tip half of it into a bin sack to bring down. They're too big to bring in one go. But I could bring some more tomorrow. Anyway, I want to get on with the carrots tomorrow, but for those I want to put a little bit of compost into the drills. I don't know why I'm telling you this now. We'll see that all tomorrow. Right, anyway, yes, so onions today, plus get the sweet peas planted. I really should have done it already. It was like everything this year. Get the sweet peas planted. They need to get their roots into some soil. Get the obelisk up, and also when I pop the sweet peas into the trough outside the shed, I can show you what happened to the alyssum that I planted last year. Now I'm trying to do my proper names, aren't I? Lobulara maritima. Lobulara maritima. Anyway, there you go. Bit of Latin to start the day. Right, let's go and divvy out these lovely white onions in this very stiff breeze. It's blowing so hard out there that my little pots were going flying. So I've just got 4 pots to represent my 4 rows. And then I'm simply, like I said, going to divvy out, not sure, divvy out these little onion sets. The reason I'm doing this is so that I know I've got enough to fill each row. For example, based on previous years, I can get between 20 and 25 sets in each row. So if I divvy them out like this, give myself 25 in each pot, and at the moment I'm sort of going for the best looking sets, the plumpest, biggest, most robust ones, because then if I've got a few left over, I haven't counted them individually, so I want anywhere between 80 and 100, and let's say I've got 110 in there and 10 of them are little tiddlers. It makes sense to just leave those till the end, or to not use them. So yes, divvy away. I'm often asked why I don't start my onions from seeds. So a couple of reasons. One, the cost of seeds and the compost, because I'd need compost to start them in. It's very similar. It sort of roughly equates to the cost of the sets. So that's one reason. Secondly, doing it with the sets is just so much easier. And let's face it, there's enough seed sowing, potting on, pricking out, all of that stuff going on anyway, that, you know, one less job makes life a bit easier. Well, it's 2 less jobs when you think it's the red and the whites. And the other reason is I always forget. I just forget, plain old forget, because I think someone may correct me if I'm wrong in this, but I think possibly when we do onions from seed, we need to start them quite a bit earlier in the year. I'm not sure exactly when, don't quote me on it, but it may even be as early as, say, January, February. So yeah, it's never on my radar each year. I'm just going to count how many I've got in each pot. Oh, and I want to show you one of my little bits of kit. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 in each pot. Do you know what? I think my order's a little bit down this year. Same company. And what's left are really tiddling pathetic. So that makes it 18. And that makes it 19. Am I going to eke 20 out of this? Yeah. 20. So I've been sent 85 sets. That's definitely less than previous years. So, next job. Just to say, I'm going to say it in here because it's so blowy out there. When I first arrived on site this morning, that bed that the onions are going to go into, I did have to fork it up the other day. It had my parsnips in it, so there'd been some of that ground had been exposed during the winter, and where I pulled the parsnips out, you may have seen, if not you can check back on the April tour, the ground's really big and lumpy bumpy, and obviously if I'm planting something this small next to great lumps of soil, it's just going to sort of fall through the cracks and it's not going to have any good sort of contact for its roots. Which pot did that come from? I'm guessing. So what I did yesterday, I forked it over a bit. I've tried to bash those really big clumps down, and then first thing this morning I've soaked the bed with a couple of cans. Excuse me. That's going to make it easier for me to sort of rake it level, just bash out the final few clumps of soil, and then to mark it out I'm going to use my two little marking strings. So very simply, a couple of old bits of bamboo stick that have, bitten the dust, they've snapped. Tie a piece of string the length of my bed. All my beds are about 4 metres long. Some of them are sort of 3.5. But yeah, so there's about 4 metres of string on there. Then it's tied onto both ends. For storing, I just wind it up to put it away. When I come to mark my row, stick one end in the soil and then all the way up to the top of the bed. Easy peasy. So you can buy this kind of setup. So if you're very sort of Farrow and Ball and you like your things to be beautiful and you're very aesthetically driven, yeah, you can buy them. Blimmin' expensive. So if you've got no money, or you're just starting out this year, and let's face it, there's all sorts of things you could be buying to start your garden. I might talk about this one day, I keep meaning to, about tools. I would say you're best off investing in a good fork, a good trowel, and that's kind of it to start with. Later on you might want things like nets, enviromesh, fleece, all those other things we talk about. But to get all of that in one go, it's going to be super duper expensive. So little things like this, you can just make it yourself. Listen, it doesn't even have to be bamboo. It could be literally, oh hello George, literally any sticks you could pick up in the park, lying around the garden, whatever it is. Just one less expense at this, let's face it, quite expensive time of year with all the seeds and the non-compost. Right, let's go out and start marking up this bed. And please excuse the gusty gusset. Little soak this morning has really helped. My paths are getting narrower and narrower. ideal for little Mistress Brexit, but there we go. Yeah, not too bad at all. Do. It always takes a little bit of work to get there, but it gets there. So I want my 4 rows. Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. So I'm going to put my markers out, and then exactly like I did with the spuds, I'm just going to pop my onions on the top to make sure I'm happy with where I've got them, spacing wise, before I plant them. Yeah, these paths are definitely very narrow, especially for someone with big feet. And so on for 4 rows. Beautifully backlit today. Right, so I've got them all spread out. I'm happy with the spacing. So in terms of spacing, I'm leaving about 10 to 15 centimetres between each bulb. A little bit more between the rows, more like 15 to 20 centimetres between the rows. So I am a little bit greedy with my space. I suppose one really could plant them 20 centimetres, 15 to 20 apart. Mine are 10 to 15. I always get great onions. Oh, I hope I haven't jinxed myself. The way to think about it is when you're popping your onion in, imagine that onion then becoming the size, whoa, wind again. Imagine that onion becoming the size of a tennis ball. That's how big we want our onions to be. So when you're sort of spreading them out, just kind of think about your spacing. This wind is crazy today, and now sirens. Try to sort of give up. Try to visualise them as tennis balls as you lay them out. Now, when it comes to actually planting them, my road is a main road, and it's sort of a mile that way to a main hospital, a mile that way to a main hospital. Well, a couple of miles, 2 big hospitals. So that's why you'll hear sirens any day of the week anyway, but especially at the moment, it's sirens all the time. Back to the onions. I use a dibber. Again, this is homemade. This wind is going to do my head in. wonder if I turn you around, if it will protect you from the wind a bit. I think I'm going to try that. It's probably not going to make a jot of difference. So yes, dibber, homemade dibber. Again, these are things you can buy for ridiculous amounts of money. This is the end of an old tent peg, old doorknob stuck in the top. I use that to make a hole. So when I plant my onions, are you going to be able to see? I'll show you here. I always make a hole with my dibber rather than just shove the onion in, because underneath, you see where that's where all its beautiful little roots are going to be formed. This little sort of foot plate here, I don't want to damage that, and if I just shove it into the soil, I may hit a stone, or there's a risk I can damage it, so I dib it in. And I'm going to plant them about twice their own depth. So if that's let me show you this one, that's my onion, I plant it that deep. So there's about the same amount of onion above soil's depth, if that makes sense. There's a couple of reasons for that. Onions, as they are developing, they can sort of push themselves out of the ground. So I'm getting them goodly into the ground. The other thing is, if you leave a little bit sticking up, and when those first shoots appear, birds love plucking them out of the ground. So you can beautifully plant all your rows of onions, and if there's a little bit sticking up, come back the next day and you find the whole lot just scattered over the bed where they've been plucked up by the birds. So I'm going to bury mine, but also once I finish planting them all, I'm going to get all of that, the leaf litter. Here comes another gust. It's very beautiful and fresh. Yeah, I'm going to take the leaf litter that I took off the potato bed, I'm going to get it stringed down and get it all on here as a mulch. Then I'm going to put nets on the top as well, because when these first shoots start emerging, please let the shoots emerge. What I don't want is for the birds to yank them out at that stage either. So, plant, mulch, net. Yay! You can hear the little rattle in the background of my bottles on sticks, which are my sort of bird deterrents. I've actually grown to really like the sound because it sort of reminds me of... there's another gust. It sort of reminds me of when I used to be at my grandparents', and the nearest beach is a big, long 3-mile bay, beautiful, and right at the top end is where the yacht club is, and sort of up and behind it are rocks, and I used to love just sitting up there in the peace and quiet, and the bottles remind me of that slapping of the rigging on the mast on the yachts. It really sort of sends me. Actually, gusty weather always makes me feel like I'm at the beach. I don't know why, it just does. I associate gusty weather with being at the beach, obviously. Right, they don't plant themselves, so I need to shut up and get on. Oh, and just in terms of with the bed prep, when I first smashed it up a couple of days ago, I did scatter it with chicken poo pellets. We haven't had any rain, so a couple of days ago I watered them all to help soften them. So that when I've given this damping watering again today, which has helped me to break the soil down, but also it's moisture for the onions to start growing in. With all that raking as well, it's helped just break up those chicken pellets and spread them throughout. So that's the only help they're going to get in terms of a feed. Me scooting backwards on my bum. It looks like I've got worms. I haven't. Morning, Rosie. Gosh, I really can't compete with the wind today, so I'm going to shut up in a second, but you can see that that was my bag of leaves that I took off the potato beds. I put them in the red bucket, covered them with water, trimmed them. So now they're a nice mulch for the onions, and I need to get the nets on. One of my other jobs today that I mentioned, but I'm going to do it off camera because of the wind. So I've got the sweet peas there. Some are to go here with the obelisk, some are to go by the shed. I just went to get the obelisk and oh dear, I don't know how much that's going to pick up, but oh look how much the weeds have grown. So I'm going to grab the obelisk, and actually I'm going to weed this all now before they get any worse. It's a communal path, but I'm part responsible for keeping it clear and tidy, so I shall. That is the sheet of perspex that flew onto my garden that no one's claimed, so I'm going to take that and put it at our share table. And then just bring you round back up towards the shed. I just want to show you these lovely, the Alice upler. So I'm a bit wobbly today, my knees aren't great. So I'm going to put some of the sweet peas in my little trough here. Look, I didn't even take the bamboo sticks out, well not bamboo, willow sticks out last year. But look at this, isn't that adorable? Oh, I'm delighted to see this. Wonderful. So yeah, get a few sweet peas in there. And there's space on the end there and at the other end for some geraniums, and then pelargoniums, get these potted up with geraniums too. They're the ones that are indoors at the moment that I took cuttings from in February to root in water. I'm not potting them up yet because obviously it will take compost and they're not a priority. The veg is the priority. Oh, pretty, pretty. Look, the lemon verbena is going for it again. Oh my goodness, that wind today, it's lovely. It is helping to cool things down a bit. There's all sorts of other things I was going to show you today, but gone on one again, haven't I? So I'm going to call it quits with this video and just get on. I'm going to do those little bits of planting, that weeding. I'm going to, if there's any strimmer battery left from strimming the leaves, I'm going to do a bit of strimming. But the main thing is, and actually I think I'm going to do this first before my knees totally give out. I'm going to get another bed prepared for the, what's coming next? Oh, do you know what, I need to move my basket, it's in the way. I just have a sleep right now, my goodness me. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Focus, Vivi, get another bed dug. Like I said, try and dig a bed a day, prep a bed a day. I'm keeping my fingers firmly crossed that under that cardboard it's okay. Oh, and of course, start putting my labels around the place again. I mean, it's kind of daft, isn't it? Because I know what I've planted and where I've planted it, but I like them. And, you know, occasionally if I try something new, I do want a label to remind me. But also, especially we've got so many new people have joined the site since about the end of last summer. And people do wander around. They wander around the gardens and have a look. So why not put my little labels out? And then if someone comes to my garden and is having a look and they think, oh, these white onions look really nice, I wonder what they are, they'll know. Yay! Right. Gorgeous souls everywhere. Cheerio for now. Take care of yourselves. Get stuck in whenever you can. Do as much as you can, but don't do too much. I think I've had 4 really physical days on the run now. Like yesterday I was on my feet all day shopping and running around town. So I think what I'll do tomorrow is I'm going to do some sit down work. I'm going to do some sewing. Having said that, I am going to try and get that bed done today. You know what? Maybe I'll get half of it done. Maybe a third even. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's just make a start. Break the back of it, as it were, without breaking my own back. So, yes, gorgeous souls. Look after yourselves. Have fun whatever you're up to. Stay out of mischief. And I will see you all again really soon, I hope. Either here in the garden, or I might see you in the kitchen at home doing some more sewing. Need to make a call about compost. I'd like to stop talking about compost now. I'm sure you would like me to stop talking about compost too. Bye for now.